1992 Olympic Games, Barcelona. Do you remember that time? The 800 meters mile. Let's look at the video, please. So Edmond Redmond was the favorite. Nobody was wondering if he was going to win or lose. We were just wondering what kind of record he was going to break. This is him in Barcelona, 1992. This video, his muscle got torn. Do you think did he succeed actually? Do you think he did? Well, here is the deal. If you ask anybody of that generation, 800 meters, Barcelona 1992 Olympic Games, nobody's gonna ever remember the winner of that race. Nobody even cares. Nobody even knows the record of that day. They all remember Edmond Redmond. What he did was spectacular. He did finish the line. He probably did not succeed in our minds, but he did cross it. So here is the deal, guys. I am not here to teach you anything about success. What is success? I have no idea. Success in women, it's very relative. Everybody defines it the way he wants. If you're here to listen to me, to tell you what to do to succeed in your life, I'm sorry, I don't have the recipe. All I can tell you is what I believe in, and maybe you can get inspired and, work with it. Well, here is the deal. By the way, my name is Nesrine Gharbi Ferradji, and I am Algerian. When I got a phone call from TED, from the team TEDx, to come and give you a speech, I was like, no way, me? Did I even succeed to come and talk to people about success, women, all these type of definitions? And then after a couple talks with friends, phone calls, I got convinced. They said, well, listen, Nesrine, maybe you should just tell them about your life, what you did, and maybe you could give back to your country just that way. And I was like, oh, yeah, maybe that sounds like a good idea. I can do that. I can definitely do that. So picture this. When I was little, we're in the 90s in Algeria, in Bab el Oued. This is where I grew up. I was like this, probably 5 years old. And I grew up in Algeria where if you ask any women, if people among you were here in the 90s, it was dark and gloomy in Algeria, but we were happy. It was not that great, but I was a happy child. I was very happy. I thank my parents every day. We were not rich. We were just fine. We had what to eat. We went to school. We had a roof. I had an amazing family. Alhamdulillah, that's great. But if you ever asked me, I would tell you, I want to become a pilot. Or astrophysicist. It sounded so good, astrophysicist. Do you know anybody who is astrophysicist? But I really wanted to do that. And if you ask any woman back then, no one is going to tell you, I want to become a cement plant manager, a woman cement plant manager, or let me tell you this, a car mechanic or taxi driver. Do you know any woman back then who tells you, I want to become a taxi driver? Well, no. And this is how I grew up. I grew up in a world where I had lots of dreams, but I was so afraid I was not going to be able to fulfill my dreams in this country. I was living, I'm telling you, I was 5 years old, and I was really worried. I'm like, but I want to become a pilot. If there is no woman pilot, I don't care. I'm going to be the first one. Here you go. I'm growing up. By the way, I played basketball as well, and I studied. So these are the only two things I did until I was, oh, God knows, maybe until now. So I'm studying because I know the only way to fulfill my dreams was to be the best at school. This is what my dad told me. If you're the best, you can go anywhere. So I believed that. And I also believed that if I had the best grade at the baccalaureate exam, the state gives scholarships. They send students to the US, the UK, France, all these type of things. So I took my exam, and I got great grades, honestly. I did. I just was not the best student in the entire Algeria. Of course, I'm not the smartest. They only gave 3 scholarships that year, and I was not among the top 3. I was devastated. My parents were very happy. I got my bag. You know, your mom cooks, and she makes cookies because her daughter got the baccalaureate exam with high honors. But I was devastated. I knew I would not going to be able to fulfill my dreams. So I went to talk to my dad, and I said, listen, Dad, I'm going to apply to university outside of Algeria, in France, in the US, and I don't mind. I can work and go to school. And my dad was, here is the deal, my daughter. None of my kids is going to work until they finish their school, as long as I'm alive. So if you really want to go abroad, here is a little deal we can have. You're still young, you're only 16, 17. If you want me to trust that you can just count on yourself in another country, there is a school I want you to go to, and you have to prove me that you can be the best. There will be guys, girls, hard, tough program, but you have to be the best. If you are, then you can go anywhere. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a plan. I can do that. And I go to this school, by the way, it's military school, let me tell you. It was not easy. We woke up at 6 a.m., go jog, do all that type of army things, fire guns. It's not a dream, I'm telling you. It's in Ariba. This is my school. And I graduated from the school. I was the top student. They never heard of a girl top student, let alone a girl for the 3 years top student, and I was playing for the Algerian national team in basketball at the same time. So I told you I only had 2 things, no boyfriends, no girlfriends, didn't have time. But anyway, so here I am, graduated, I was the best. So I thought I was gonna get a scholarship. I didn't. So I went to see my dad and was like, now I can apply to any school. You told that, Dad, right? And he said, yeah, but it has to be a top school. Otherwise, what's the point? And I'm like, oh, yeah, right. Of course, Dad. You always want something more. So I applied to a couple schools. Thank God they accepted me at one of the top schools in France. It's an engineering school. And the only trick is that they asked me to go and look for a scholarship in my home country. Oh, yeah. Okay, so I went to the Ministry of Higher Education, and I went to them very excited. Look, I got accepted at Polytechnique, the best school in France. They only take 60 students worldwide. and I'm one of 60. Can you imagine? Okay, so can you give me a scholarship? And they were like, no, we're not giving scholarships anymore. I was again devastated. And I didn't really understand. I'm like, maybe I'm not lucky. So I called the school thinking I was going to drop off because I couldn't get the money. It's really expensive, by the way, to study there. And they said, no, don't worry. We'll find you a scholarship. You should not even ask yourself these questions. You just come. And so I went to France. And at that point, I was asking myself, what did they take me at Polytechnique? I'm not the best student. I am definitely not the smartest. But I was like, yeah, when you have 30 Chinese, 30 Indians, Brazilian, Chileans, all these type of nationalities, and they are so good at maths. And I thought I was good at maths. I was not that good. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I know. They took me because I'm a girl. I played basketball. And because I'm probably pretty. I was not that pretty. I was really ugly when I was a kid. And I was keeping wondering why would they take me. But okay, move forward. We're spending 3 years at Polytechnique. I was definitely not the best student. I was not no. Everybody was so smart. I was wondering, what am I doing here? 3 years later, at Polytechnique, you have to choose a school where you do your master's degree. And I applied for just one school in the US because I wanted to go there for 2 reasons. One, because it's in New York. And when I was a kid, I knew I was going to live in New York. That's for sure. And number 2, because I didn't want to become a pilot. I wanted to become a finance girl, a investment banking woman. And so I applied at Columbia University. Again, it was my lucky day. They took me. I was accepted. I questioned myself. Maybe they need an Algerian woman. They never had Algerians, so they needed to put the flag, It looks cool to say, hey, we have an African. Except that I'm not that African. For them, I'm African, but yeah, that's okay. So here I am, Columbia University. We are in 2008 in New York. Does that remind you anything? 2008 finance crisis, right? It was the big crisis. So I took a huge loan to go to that school. Huge loan, like huger than anything that my parents can put together in an entire lifetime. That was my loan. And it was the crisis, so there was no guarantee you can get a job, no guarantee you can pay off your debt. And I was wondering, oh my God, am I going to go to jail because I'm not going to get a job? And before I even graduated, I got an offer from a huge bank, Credit Suisse. And I'm like, oh my God, nobody did get a job in the entire class in March, let me tell you. We were in March, graduation is in May. Nobody got a job. And I didn't get a 4.0 GPA. I was definitely not the best student. I was all the time outside, running in Central Park, or just, walking, Wall Street, all that, all the New York kind of, what you watch in movies is real. I'm telling you, I lived it. It's great. And so I got an offer, and I was sure they took me because I was a basketball player. That must be the reason, because I'm a team player. When they see basketball, they think you're a team player, so they want you in their team. And I'm like, okay. So I worked there. I worked in the U.S. actually for 4 or 5 years. And at that point, did I ask myself, am I successful? Am I not? I don't know. I always thought that what I did was thanks to some other factors. Maybe basketball, maybe my lucky star, maybe God loves Algerians, all these type of things. But within 5 years in the US, 6 actually, I started questioning myself what I really want to do, or more, am I happy? Is this what I was envisioning as a success? Well, not quite right, because there was always something, I was always missing something. I didn't know what was it. I knew I missed Algeria so much. I know Algeria was not an easy country. I lived here. I know it by heart. There was something missing. It's like my soul was not with me. So in 2013, I was coming to Algeria for Ramadan. Within 6 years, I didn't come during Ramadan. So that year, I took a little sabbatical, and I said, this year I'm going to Algeria. I only spent 5 days. My vacation, by the way, never exceeded 5 days. And so I took an airplane, came to Algeria. I met a really nice, charming guy in the airplane. I married him a year after. But that's just the parenthesis. That was the ignition fire, the ignition to come back to Algeria. You know, the gap was huge, and I didn't know I was going to be able to come back here one day, and that was what pushed me to come here. I had a really good reason, you know. If you tell your parents I'm marrying somebody and coming here, some parents will be delighted. Mine's were, are you sure? But I'm happy, it's great. Algeria is not an easy country. It's really not. Bottom of the line, what's the conclusion in everything I just told you? Again, I don't have a recipe for success. I don't even know if I have succeeded myself. Did I really? What I want to tell you is anything I did was thanks to one thing. I can tell you the 10 plan how to be successful. You can find it all in books. This is not what I'm here for. There was only one thing that kept me pushing even harder when the doors were closed. It's grit. Grit in French is la hargne. In Arabic is shahna. In basketball, they told us qalborb. That was it. So this is exactly what grit is. This is what keeps you moving forward when everything else is closing on your face. Grit is when you're at school, at work, and all the other women don't like you. They don't like you. You don't know why. They're not going to like you. They don't make your life easier, but you just don't care. You just do what you have to do. Grit is when everybody tells you no, and you keep walking, because there is a tunnel, and this tunnel is dark. But when you have grit, you keep walking through hell because you know there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And so there was my favorite speech was called "We Are Sunscreen." You're probably going to wonder, what is she talking about? The best speech I've ever heard was at a commencement graduation, and he was saying that he couldn't give a recipe for what to do to be successful in life. This is a very successful guy. But he said, the only advice I can give you is wear sunscreen, because it's the only thing that has been proven scientifically to prevent you from cancer. That was it. Sunscreen, cancer. Anything else is from everybody else's own, my God, I can't find the word, from their own experience. So let me finish by this. Grit is what you're going to see right now in a video. Could you please show them the video? Because this is, to me, the definition of grit. And I'm sorry if it's always athletes and athleticism, but it kind of shows what life is. Life is a marathon or a sprint, depending on who you are.
The 600-meter underway. Heather Dornan in Minnesota finished second this event a year ago. She was in lane 4.
And Dornan is probably going to be your favorite. She actually won the NCAA championship in 2006 in the 800, but she only won one Big Ten championship in the 2 years.
3 laps in this event, 600 meters, 3 times around the 200-meter track here at the field house.
What a bold move by Fallon. She's looking very confident, and the Penn State runner is just running amazing today. She did win her heat in the 400, but ended up taking 4th overall.
That's Fondor moving into the lead, the sophomore from Penn State. Dornan has been running second.
Dornan last year scored 23 points for the Golden Gophers in their Big Ten championship, so they're really relying on getting a lot of points from her this weekend, and she's just coming by Fondor now in the home stretch, heading into the bell lap.
Down. Dornan Dornan falling down, gets up quickly, but that's going to cost her. Lucky she wasn't injured.
Her teammate just went to the front, though, so they may be able to recover from that. And Dornan is flying down the backstretch.
She is catching up.
She is going to catch Von Dorn, and she may catch the leader. Wow.
But she's got one.
This is a gutsy effort by Dornan. Can she pull it off? She's moving to third. Dornan coming down the stretch from the outside. Dornan coming on strong. Dornan all the way. Dornan. Wow, unbelievable.
That is amazing. To fall in a 600, I mean, this is basically a sprint. I mean, this is an extended 400, basically. To fall with 200 meters to go and get up and win, that is unbelievable.
Isn't that amazing? That's what I was talking about. Thank you so much for being here.